This video has been supported by my Patreons. With the support I get from them, I can give you guys regular content and updates. It also helps me improve my channel and go to overseas conventions more often. So what are you waiting for? Go check me out on Patreon, and from just $1 a month, you can support me and the channel, get personal fursuit making help, and get some great rewards. Hope to see you there. Enjoy the video.
Hey everyone, long time no see, and welcome back to my channel. Super sorry for the hiatus, but I've been on a wonderful adventure in Japan. Wow! So this video is going to share what I got up to in the 3 weeks over there, and some small channel updates, so let's get on into it. So our big Japan trip started in Toyohashi in the Aichi Prefecture. This is where I would attend my first ever international convention, Jameth, Japan Meeting of Furries. But first, we get a day to ourselves. So we decided to venture to the nearby Toyokawa Inari Shrine. The reason we wanted to visit this shrine is because of the hundreds of fox statues and a small grove within the shrine. And let me tell you guys, it was beautiful. They were all so cute. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I'm not much of a religious person, but there's foxes involved. I might convert one day. The next day, the con began. We spent a lot of time socializing with con goers, the ones we could communicate with at least, as Reggio opened at 5 PM that day. We met with Sherbet Shenanigans and Nikki during that time, which was super exciting. We collected our Reggio and got into fursuit to walk around. First thing, I felt very out of place, a western suit amongst a sea of kimono. However, I still got to interact with the other fursuiters, which was awesome. The next day, we spent fursuiting around and hanging out with friends, met some awesome furs from the Philippines, shout out to Cheese & Co, and taking photos. We also visited the arcade that day, and I may have won a very large shark. People were fursuiting in the arcade as well. However, since we don't speak much Japanese, we decided not to risk it. They even had an area full of musical instruments for people to jam on. I once walked in on a bunch of fursuiters playing the Don Quixote theme song and a bunch of trumpets. Don Quixote being effectively a dollar store on crack, and they play the song over and over again when you're in there. The last day of the con was the Dealer's Den, which is only open for one day. I spent an hour or so waiting in line to get in. It was a lot smaller than Western dens. That's simply because Japan doesn't really have a huge commission culture. I did end up getting a badge from the Dealer's Den, which was awesome. Almost bought myself a kimono suit. Almost. Didn't really fursuit much on the last day. We were way too tired. We did help Nikki fursuit around and got some awesome photos for her, which turned out great. Overall, Jameth was a really unique experience. Going to a con where you can't speak the native language is very different, and it was an amazing thing to experience. Next, we headed to Tokyo. Our first night, we visited Shibuya and got some sushi, and of course got to touch the good boy statue. The second day was a work day for me. I headed to the YouTube Space Tokyo, which was absolutely amazing. There I filmed a video with Sherbet Shenanigans, which will be out next week. The space is amazing, and I'm so privileged to be able to have filmed there. So keep an eye out for that video. Very exciting. Then it was time for Akihabara, where we got to pet a hedgehog and eat some Magikarp taiyaki. Electric Town was really cool too. So many electronics that are now kind of obsolete. It was insane. The next day we went to Tsukiji Fish Market, the previous site of the largest tuna auctions in the world. But now it's home to a lot of small market stalls selling everything from fresh tuna to fermented soybeans. I got to try sea urchin for the first time. Would not recommend. It's like a salty booger. Pretty nasty. We also attended Team Lab's Borderless, which is a light-based art exhibition, and honestly, it was the coolest art gallery I think I've ever been to. If you're ever in the Tokyo area, I really highly recommend it. Our last day in Tokyo was spent exploring Asakusa, a town with a big shrine and lots of souvenir stores. We also went to a very expensive restaurant where we got fed all manner of things, from sushi to raw squid fermented in its own guts. Had trouble keeping that one down. Ugh. And finally, to finish off the night, we visited the Wolf Bar. This bar is run every Friday night by a fur in his fursuit. You can pay him to make drinks based off your persona. This was Sky. Yeah. It was a lot of fun and a great way to say farewell to all the Japan furs. Next, we were off to Hiroshima. After 4 hours of bullet trains, Hiroshima was by far my favorite place in Japan. Our first day was spent doing the Peace Park and the museum, which was very harrowing. And then we were off to Miyajima, which me and Belt unanimously agree was our favorite spot in Japan. Miyajima is an island off the coast of Hiroshima filled with deer, shrines, and a beautiful mountain. The deer will eat everything you own, love, and cherish, and the ropeway up to the top of the mountain was the second most terrifying thing I did in Japan. But overall, it was a beautiful spot and I will definitely be back. Our other time in Hiroshima was mainly spent exploring the city and eating lots of yakitori at a bar where an Olympic cyclist wouldn't stop feeding us booze. And he ended up paying for our bill, which, I'm not complaining, but it was very weird. Then we were off to our last destination, Kyoto, where we met some very interesting characters up a mountain and explored the bamboo forest. The second day, we did an Osaka trip for the Pokemon Cafe. I'm fairly sure the Pikachu fursuit is cursed. If you do go to the Pokemon Cafe, I highly recommend only getting a drink and maybe a sweet, as the food isn't as good as the experience you're there for. Speaking of cursed things, we went on the Donkey Ferris wheel. Remember that dollar store I mentioned? Well, in Osaka, they have a Ferris wheel. Would you go on a Ferris wheel owned and operated by Dollar Tree? Didn't think so. Well, we had a huge lapse in judgment and decided to go on the cursed ride. It would have been fine if it wasn't so creaky and I hated it. I was lucky to have escaped with my life. The next day was a really special experience. We did a walking tour with Japan's last samurai, and Belt had a daikon cut off his stomach with a sword. It was a really special experience and Samurai Joe was amazing. Highly recommend this tour, link down below if you're interested. We visited Nara the day after and got to meet some very enthusiastic deer who will bow for a biscuit you can purchase around the park. These deer were a lot bigger than the ones you see in Miyajima and will forcibly take biscuits out of your pocket if you're not too careful. Finally, on our last day in Kyoto, we went to another Inari shrine, this one with thousands of torii gates and private shrines. There's a weird thing about shrines is that no matter where they are, it's always dead quiet inside. It's very peaceful. Now it was time for our trip home. We packed our bags and headed for Osaka, where we were to spend one more night before we fly out. We decided to spend it going to Osaka Aquarium, which was awesome, and it even had a whale shark. And that's pretty much it. We got on a plane, a couple planes, for a long time and landed back in Australia. I'm happy to be home and happy to get back to work for you guys. So in the next couple weeks, expect a few more videos, including the one I filmed with Sherbet at the YouTube space. That should be out this time next week for you all. In the meantime, please give me ideas. If you have a video you want to see me do, let me know down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more fursuit making and miscellaneous furry content, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye now.